Welcome to our look at payroll in Acumatica. Our focus today will be on processing of payroll, but I'll take a few minutes to just look at the general setup and point out that Acumatica has user-definable dashboards, such as this executive view or an operational view. This is where you can see next payment dates, employees that need to be updated, any liability by vendors, and then also a personal view for each of your employees to be able to pull up their paychecks, their stubs, PTO information, anything you wish to share with them. From the payroll menu, this is where you'll set up your payroll preferences, including things such as overtime rules, whether you pay by the day, for overtime, weekly, or Sundays. This is where you'll set up your deductions and benefit codes, and the shift codes, which we'll see as we process payroll. Here we've got first shift, second shift. In this case, we have a customer of ours that wanted to pay an extra 20%. It could also be done by a specific amount. We've got third shift being paid at 40%. Also, if they change work locations and maybe go from production to assembly, they pay an extra 50% for that job. Using your payroll settings, you can add them to individuals to an employee payroll class, which makes setup very easy. You can then bring all the information together and go to your employee settings. Here I'll bring up one of our employees, Ian Pick. From Ian, I've got his address information, and as you can see, I'm using the hourly class ID and using all of the defaults for that information and his work location. We've got the employment history as they change positions, the tax settings, which are generally your W-4 information for Fed or state, and then you've also got the taxes that are specific to this employee based on his address. Compensation information can be set up with a start and end date so that you can preload any raises or changes to the rates directly into the file in advance. And then we have the deductions and benefits codes that are applied to this individual. Here's where I can use my class default value, or I can take that off and use a deduction that's specific to the individual I'm working with. Paid time off, payment information, whether they get check or direct deposit. If they have a direct deposit, you would add your account information, whether they split it between checking and saving here. After we have everybody set up, the next step is to begin with a payroll batch. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a pay group, which is a weekly pay group, take it off hold for the pay period, and then I'm just going to go to my earnings and bring in my time clock information. And now you can see each of my employees that have brought in. You can see the shift codes, so I know what shift they were working on, whether they were working in the warehouse as we saw, how many hours, and what the rate is. I could also go in and change, if I needed to, any deductions and benefits. For instance, if you're running a bonus payroll run, maybe you don't want all of the deductions calculated, you can select those here. Once you're done with this, you're ready to save that, and I'm going to release this payroll batch. Now that we've completed our payroll batch, we're going to move on to processing the payroll. When I come in here, I'll select the Calculate, and I'll be able to see the 4 items that we've entered for these employees, and I'm going to click on Process. The process is going to go out and take the regular hourly rates, calculate it times the number of hours, and bring up 4 processed items. So now I want to go to Recalculate, and you'll see the hourly pay, the gross pay, everything for each employee. If you want to look at it until we complete the payroll, you can always go back, make edits or changes to it. As you see here, it's calculated the overtime hours, it's calculated the rate per hour based on the shift code that they're working on, warehouse that they're working on. All of that information's been updated through the calculation process, and now we're ready to run our payroll. I'm going to go ahead to create payment. In the create payment, I could pay this through the direct deposit. These employees are going to get a check, pulls up the check information for me, and at that point I'll select all of these and go ahead and process it. Next step, I could go ahead and print the pay stubs or print the checks. And here we see each of the paychecks and the stubs associated for these employees. Once your paychecks are done, you're able to go back to your dashboard, back to your operational view, and printing your next payroll run. For more information about Acumatica, please visit our website at aswius.com.